la 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 la. Ya la 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 ya ya la la. Ya ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 ya 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 la la. Ya la 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 ya ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 ya 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 la la. Ya ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 ya la la la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 ya la la la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la ya la la ya la la la. Ya la 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 ya ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 ya 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 la la. Ya ya la 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 ya. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Oh, it's like a sea of faces, finally. With the actual faces. They were there before, but we just couldn't see them. So wonderful to have you here tonight, everybody. And I want to ask you at the beginning of the service, are you here because you believe?
Sure.
See, they're already answering. I love this. I love this audience participation. Or is it because you behave in a Jewish way that you're here? Okay, I'm seeing like a little, I don't know. Do I behave like a Jew? I'm not quite sure. Don't consult your neighbor, just answer on your own. Or is it because you belong? You belong. Ah, yeah, now that's interesting. Oh, Ken, you can't go both ways. Don't do this, Ken. So this is, there's so many reasons you walk into a shul, and you get to decide. Nobody's asking for your belief card or your belonging card or your behavior card. This place, you just come in, you take your seat, and you say, I own this seat. I'm here. I love the blue. I love the light. I'm happy to be in the shul. I stake my claim right here. This is where I behave, belong, believe, and maybe more. This is a complex thing that we are as part of the Jewish people. And it is something that you cannot just experience one time to get it. You got to keep going over and over and over. The rabbis of the Talmud said, hafoch ba vehafoch ba dechula ba. If you just turn it over and over again, then you'll see the whole essence of the thing. And so this is what we do. And I'm so happy that you show up over and over. We're just turning it over and over again. And it's never quite the same. We evolve as we belong, believe, and behave. And tonight, we are putting a particular emphasis on those people who have recently decided to step on in, not just to this place, but maybe more recently coming back. I'm looking at a new friend in our kahal tonight, my friend Les Wells, who's come back after many years, and I'm so happy to have you here, Les. And I'm so happy to see my friends in this row who became B'nai Mitzvah not very long ago, and here they are, masks off, the Woolen family, coming on back with your dad. So happy to see you. And we're so happy that, this is the ongoing endeavor of building Jewish peoplehood is just coming back and coming back again. And for those who came most recently, we celebrate the many people. I don't want to overinflate the number of people that have recently come to Temple Israel, but let me just say, it's a few minions. You know what a minion is? So it's several minions of people, and we're so happy that you chose to be here. And you too, our friends at home, Shabbat Shalom. I would like to welcome up several of you are on our membership team. I'm looking at you, Izzy Nave, because would you stand up for a second? Just say Shabbat Shalom to our friends here. Shabbat Shalom. Izzy, you may know. Now, if there's anybody here who was delivered a challah and some wine maybe when you became a Temple Israelite. Yeah, there we are, Nancy and Ann at the back. Anybody else recently get one? Thank you, Karen, right? So Izzy made sure that happened along with his whole team, and I see Tricia, and I see lots of people here. So I'm gonna ask the people from the membership team, since it's new Member Shabbat, and we still haven't come up with a better word than member, so just, you can vote on that at the end. But I would like to ask the members of our membership team to come up and light our Shabbat candles. And as they are coming up, will you just turn to the people around you and wish them with your eyes or your hands a Shabbat Shalom? And maybe say, I'll catch you afterwards, but I really want to make sure I make your acquaintance.
Shabbat Shalom, Ma'yafeh Hayom. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom.
There you go.
Ma'yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom, Ma'yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. We bring in the Shabbat light and sing the blessing all together. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner, lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Friends, you should have a prayer book, a siddur in front of you, and we will open that siddur to page 12 as we welcome Shabbat with the beautiful singing, Lechu Neranena. Come, let us sing joyously to God. Lechu Neranena l'Adonai, Nariya litzur yishenu, nekad mafanav betoda, bizbilot Nariya lo. Page 13. Shiru l'Adonai, shir chadash, shiru l'Adonai, kol haaretz, shiru l'Adonai, baruchu shemo, basru miyom leyom yeshuato, sapru v'goyim kevodo bechol ha'amim nifleotav, ki gadol Adonai, olam me'od, narahu al kol Elohim, ay, 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 ki kol Elohei ha'amim elilim,
continue on page 15. At the bottom of the page, let's read together Psalm 98, a psalm. Sing to Adonai a new song, for God has worked wonders. God's right hand, God's holy arm, has won God victory. Adonai has manifested God's victory, has displayed God's triumph in the sight of the nations. God was mindful of God's steadfast love and faithfulness toward the house of Israel. All the ends of the earth beheld the victory of our God. Raise a shout to Adonai, all the earth. Break into joyous songs of praise. You can hear that as a commandment. The rest of your week you may have been shouting for other reasons, but now it's shouts of joy as we turn to page 16 for Zamru Ladonai.
Zamru Ladonai bechinor, bechinor v'kol zira, b'chatzotzrot v'kol shofar. Hariu lifnei hamelech Adonai, Yiram hayam umlo, Tevel ve'yoshveva, Neharot imcha uchav yachad, Harim yiraneinu, Lifnei Adonai kiva, lishpat haaretz, yishpot tevel betzedek, ve'amim b'meisharim. Back to Yiram. Yiram hayam umlo, tevel ve'yoshveva, neharot imcha uchav yachad, harim yiraneinu, yachad harim yiraneinu.
We continue now to page 20, where we can maybe just pretend that the world just outside doesn't exist in the same sort of way that it ordinarily does. Just when Shabbat arrives, we are home. If you think of home as that place, I mean, maybe it smells like roasted chicken, maybe it smells like lavender. I don't know what your house smells like on Shabbat, but whatever that yummy smell of Shabbat is, smell it. Whatever that place at the table, and you can imagine even the people that don't exist on this earth anymore, when they came to sit at your table, you heard something, you felt somebody touch your hand, you felt maybe a sense of, you know what, there's no place like home. You don't even have to click your rose-colored slippers or whatever, ruby slippers 3 times. It's just home. And when Shabbat arrives, there is a safety and a stability that just doesn't exist any other time during the week, so we just gotta sink into it. You know, like when those special occasions come in your life and you just say, I gotta savor this. That's right now. Shabbat. And with it, we greet the Shabbat on page 20 with Lecha Dodi.
Lecha Dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nikabela. Try that with us. Lecha Dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nikabela. וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד. אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ותפארת ולתהילה לך דודי, לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי, לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה. מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה לך. That's it, דודי. לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי, לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. Verse 5. התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי. אורי, אורי, שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה לך דודי. That's it, Shoshana. לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה.
Please rise. We're going to face the back of the sanctuary.
לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה.
Verse 9.
בואי ושלום עטרת מעלה, גם בשמחה ובשולה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה לך דודי, לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי, לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה.
Please have a seat.
I want to take this opportunity now, Vinny, just to introduce myself, because I count myself as one of you. So for those who don't know me yet, I'm Rabbi Sam Klein. I'm also a new member of Temple Israel.
Yes,
So I wish I were just relaxing listening to Cantor with you right now, but I'm on tonight with you. So it's wonderful though, it's really wonderful. And I hope that you have the same experience that I've had over the past 8-9 months already. Wow, that went by fast. Of just feeling like the most warm, the most welcoming. This is the best experience here at Temple Israel, and I know there's some fantastic people here tonight to make it that way for you. So please come talk to us after Shabbat tonight. I just want to share that before I came, I know that we switched locations and that there was
Wait, we
fear.
did? Oh, wait.
Yes.
Yes, I remember. I vaguely recall.
We switched locations maybe once, twice, 3 times, I don't know. But there was a fear. There was a fear perhaps of shrinking. It's not alone unique to, people in Columbus, synagogues here and there, all over the country. Everybody has this fear of shrinking. But I'll tell you, I have not experienced that here at all. it's the opposite experience completely. We're growing, and there's new people coming and new faces and welcoming and excitement and momentum. And so I'm just thrilled and blessed to be with this synagogue, and I hope you make many friends that are like family here. Because as Rabbi Mars mentioned, I don't think we're short of a minyan here tonight. I think we got at least 10 folks here in this community to bring us into our now Chatzi Kaddish, our evening service. So you can find that on page 26.
Yitkadav ve'yitkadash shemei rabba ve'amad yivrach yurtei ve'amnik mahutei b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei tebchol beit Yisrael bagala uvizman kariv ve'imeru amen yehi shmei rabba mevorach le'olam olam me'almaya yitbarach v'yishabach v'yitbar v'yitrumav v'yinaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudusha brichu le'elam min kol berchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran ve'alma ve'imeru amen.
We stand now for Baruchu, calling us to this moment of attention, page 28.
Ya la la ya ya, ya la 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 ya, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la ya ya, ya la la ya ya, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 ya. Baruchu et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai hamevorach le'olam va'ed. Le'olam va'ed. La 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 ya ya, ya 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 la 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 la, ya la la ya ya.
Please
Be seated, friends. I invite you to turn one page back, 27. There's a reading here that I'm inspired by tonight. If you want to join me, please, in the middle of page 27. Teach me, O God, a blessing, a prayer, on the mystery of a withered leaf, on ripened fruit so fair, on the freedom to see, to sense, to breathe, to know, to hope, to despair. Teach my lips a blessing, a hymn of praise, as each morning and night you renew your days. Lest my day be today as the one before, lest routine set my ways. And as we turn forward to page 30, we're acknowledging the changing of time, the changing of seasons, and I hope you smell a little bit and see the sense of newness. It's Aviv, relatively a new month now. It could have been one of our 4 New Years in the Jewish tradition. It's springtime. Passover is coming. So I hope you feel this rejuvenation on this Shabbat as we head very quickly into Pesach. We join with the cantor now on the bottom of page 30.
Umavir yom umevi laila, mavdil ben yom uben laila, Adonai tzvaot shemo, el chai v'kayam, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, המריב ערבים.
So tonight I also want to introduce myself to you not as just as another clergy person, another rabbi, but also as your educator here at Temple Israel. So I'm blessed to spend many a Sunday with lots of beautiful kids, teenagers, adults, many faces, many wonderful people on a weekly basis here. I didn't realize growing up that I would love waking up early on Sunday mornings as much as I do. It's mature. It comes with age, like fine wine, you know? And, but I want to extend that welcome to everyone here tonight, because whether you're in school this year or not, there's always a place for you. We structure our program. You can enter in anytime and be just fine. And know that we're inviting the entirety of our community. So if you feel like you're normal, if you feel like you're abnormal, if you feel like you don't have a place, if you're interfaith or interethnic, or if you're a single, if you don't have children, if you have children, if you're an adult, we actually will have a program for everyone here. All the age groups, all the lifespan, that's what we're dedicated to here. And all the varieties that we come in, all the manifestations of Jewish practice. So I hope you find a place here, and do come say hi after services. And I think what we offer here is not just intensive education, but also a great time. We're heading into Passover experience this Sunday, so it's going to be a blast. Now, there's something different about Jewish learning, right? There's something different about what we call Torah. It's holy. And how we can define holiness seems like a very abstract concept now. Holiness is basically difference, okay? And for our people, holiness is a necessity. I don't know if you are a coffee addict like me, right? But just like coffee in the morning for us coffee addicts, or if you love to exercise for the body, learning what it is to be Jewish, learning Torah, it's just as much of a necessity as something like eating. It's as if we're eating holiness, if you will, right? Another term in Hebrew for the Torah is Etz Chaim, which is the tree of life. So when we're learning Torah, it's like we're picking fruits off of this tree of life, and we're nourishing ourselves directly to our neshama, our souls, from this fruit of the tree of life. If you haven't experienced it yet, I invite you to engage in Jewish learning with us here. We've got a lot of classes already ongoing, and we've got more to come. And we'll turn now to the prayer Ahavat Olam, and let's read it together in English at the bottom of page 32, because it speaks about this Torah. Together, everlasting love you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel.
Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Page 36. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם מאוד על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
We're heading into the Michamocha on page 40. And you might be familiar that this was the song of the sea, sung by Moses, but really Miriam, even though it comes back and forth there, right? Both Moses and Miriam. And I just invite you as we head into this amazing holiday, which, believe it or not, I believe is the most widely observed holiday among our people, right? Not Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Pesach, right?
And
It's
in
the
fact,
home.
if I'll interject for
Yeah.
1 second, apparently in
Yeah.
Eretz Yisrael, what is the night where there's the most traffic? Not just observant Jews, but everybody, every secular Israeli family, they're going to a Seder. So it's actually Pesach night. So yes,
And traffic is bad in Israel.
traffic is bad. Our hearts are with Israel right now, especially. But
Yeah.
yes, indeed,
Be warned.
that is.
You're warned now. So, yes, we're heading into Pesach. And the Song of the Sea invites us to just open our eyes to the wonder that we experience on a daily basis and remind ourselves to experience. And also just this amazing transition from an enslaved people to a free one. Let's join Michamocha together, page 40.
Michamocha ba'elim Adonai, Michamocha nedar lakodesh. Now repeat, Nora, tehilot, that's it. Nora, tehilot, Michamocha, Michamocha ba'elim Adonai, Michamocha nedar b'kodesh. Adonai, imloch le'olam va'ed. Adonai, imloch le'olam va'ed. V'ne'mar kifata Adonai et Yaakov uga'alo miyad chazak mimenu. Baruch atah Adonai Gal Yisrael.
Speaking of Israel, I don't know about you, but during the pandemic, I went through swings and phases of engaging in the news, and especially not just local or national, but international, and thinking about our family in Israel and tuning into their news. But I've gone back into the swing of things, right? Checking Times of Israel, maybe Haaretz. And as I'm preparing for my course in the Prime Minister, I'm seeing a lot of difficult news in Israel these days. It's been a hard day for Israelis. If you're aware of what's been going on, there's been a wave of terrorist attacks in different parts of the country, most recently in Tel Aviv. There's been casualties among our people. And so my heart is there with them, with my friends and family there. And I invite you all to think about them as we turn to the Hashkivenu on page 42. For in the Hashkivenu, we're praying for a shelter of peace over us, right? Not just ourselves, wherever we are, but over the entirety of our people, entirety of the world, praying for peace. Hashkivenu.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamidenu shomreinu lechayim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamidenu shomreinu lechayim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamidenu shomreinu lechayim. We turn to page 44 as we sing V'shamru together. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asat et ha-Shabbat ledorotam brit olam, beini uvein b'nei Yisrael, oti le'olam, ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai, asa Adonai, et hashamayim ve'et haaretz, uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayinafat. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam brit olam. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat.
Pay no attention to the people struggling with the blind. Oh, I know. I know. You can't have a squinting kihila and squinting rabbis. Shabbat shalom, friends.
Shabbat shalom.
There is a story that I did not grow up with, but I grew into, thanks to those fine people toward the back of the room, my beloved in-laws, Rabbi Dr. Alvin Mars and Rabbi Dr. Marilyn Mars. I just gave you your doctorate and smicha, because you deserve it. You deserve it. So I don't know if I get this story right, but every time I hear the name Mordechai Kaplan, who I'll talk about in just a minute, this is the story that I remember Or telling me. That apparently when my in-laws were living in Philadelphia, which is where they grew up and lived much of their life until they moved to Los Angeles, and then eventually here, there was a certain young child of theirs, the first one who I happened to marry, and as he was a young child, I did not marry him when he was young. I married him after this story happens, and there happened to be an opportunity, apparently, where the Mars family was invited over to Rabbi Mordechai Kaplan's home in Philadelphia. Am I right so far? Nope. Okay. Well, anyway, here's how I like to tell the story, because it's such a great punchline in my head, and you can correct me at Shabbos dinner. But the story is, little Gordy, or Mars, needed a diaper change, and you were changing his diaper on Mordechai Kaplan's, in his bedroom, on his bed, and he knocked over some little figurine, not even close. And at that point, that's where Reconstructionist Judaism came to be. I mean, as total fiction, pretty good story, right? But actually, I'm feeling a certain level of gratitude for Rabbi Kaplan, who was a real revolutionary. And I want to read just a bit from a particular Devar Torah that was given, I think it was a couple of years ago, by Rabbi Elliot Cosgrove. And he said something that was very, I think, reminiscent of the time that we live in. So he said these words: "Not for America, not for American Jewry, and certainly not for Rabbi Mordechai Kaplan was 1929 an easy year. The stock market that had begun to crumble in early September crashed on Black Tuesday, October 29th. From the economic prosperity of the Roaring '20s, the Great Depression wrought an economic downturn with an estimated 15% drop in global GDP, bank failures, and a devastating impact on employment, personal income, farming, and factories. No sector of the economy was spared, and the effects were felt not only in the economy, but as social histories of the era describe, also in a suffocating culture of despair. With breadwinners on food lines, families were strained and snapped, marriages were delayed, and higher education put further out of reach. Those already on the fringes of society, migrants, minorities, became even more marginalized. Alcohol abuse and other vices spiked, crime and suicide rates rose, and ancient hatreds, from the rise of the Nazi Party abroad to the homegrown anti-Semitism of Father Coughlin, Henry Ford, and others, proved to be not so ancient. Whatever societal fractures existed prior to 1929, the Depression exacerbated and spotlighted those fault lines, denying our social fabric its most important bonding agent, hope." I mean, reminiscent to me of the very time we live in so many ways. Some of those tremors that happened so long ago, almost 100 years ago, the Great Depression, we are seeing manifestations of a world in chaos now. We have different conditions, but how many times have you heard people say the pandemic revealed the cracks in society that were already there and made those fissures even more dramatic? Now we see. Now I understand. Now, do I have a right to be frustrated that I can't get somebody to become a maintenance person at Temple Israel? Or do I say, yeah, I get it. I think I kind of get it. I'm frustrated for everybody who used to live a different life, but I get it. There's something deep that's happened to our world since the pandemic. And Mordechai Kaplan was seeing something else happening at the same time. The same exact time, he was seeing Jewish houses of worship starting to shut down, starting to close business because they couldn't keep up with the times with the dramatic economic fissures that had happened, not happened, Rabbi Kaplan started to see that it was very difficult to live a Jewish life the way that people had. People had been educated as Jews. They had lived their lives with kosher markets and with shtibels and shtetlach all around them. And this was a different world. And at the age of 48 years old, when Rabbi Kaplan, in 1929, he said these words. He was a father of 4, and he had a manuscript sitting in the drawer that would become his seminal work, which I'll tell you in a minute. He said these words, "I feel like a polar bear on an ice floe that is drifting into warmer zones as he watches with growling impotence the steady dwindling of his home." He was talking about Jewish life in America, and he was scared. He didn't know what was going to be happening, and when he wrote Judaism as a Civilization, that book, he decided that he had to boil down three ideas what Judaism could be about. And those are the words that I used in the opening of tonight's Shabbat service. I said, who believes? Who behaves as a Jew? And who belongs as a Jew? Now, his idea of believing was this very different, much more naturalistic God. You could talk to God in nature, according to Kaplan. You know, this was like, he was a chassid in some ways. He wanted to be out there talking to God in nature. He wanted belonging to look like a pool with a shul or a school with a pool. That became the JCCs, the Jewish Community Centers. And behaving for him was talked about not necessarily as mitzvot, but Jewish folkways. Folkways. He thought that this vision could reshape American Jewish life. And in some ways, it has. Think of a world today where you try to describe what it means to be Jewish without thinking about the institutions that are in it. And that's what I think makes tonight so remarkable, that we are sitting in a Jewish institution, which some people said when we started our construction and we moved from the old building, good luck. Good luck, Rabbi. I hope it happens. Good luck, and we'll see you around. I mean, really, people needed a place to belong, to believe, to behave as Jews. Now, I happen to think that it was the perfect time for us to move. Why did we need to move? Well, we were too far down the street where Judaism had really taken root, but it wasn't going to be flourishing. And we can say New Albany sort of disrupted that project a little bit, and the Jews moved. And Jews move all over this town. But what is an incredible statement, I have to say, is that belonging has come to mean more to this congregation than maybe it ever did. Because belonging now is about transformation, hope, and evolution. About saying, this is a place where I don't have to stay stagnant in old ways that don't suit me necessarily. I'm not going to hear the phrase, we tried that, but it doesn't work. Right? This is a place that has to be committed. And I'm preaching to the choir, I get it. Probably every week I'm preaching to the choir. But to say that we are an inclusive synagogue, I mean, I kind of just want to point to the pride flag on the bima. This is a place where everybody belongs. This is a place where no matter what you believe, you've got a place here. And even if I have to sit with you for 2 hours and discuss immigration or discuss women's reproductive health, we'll do it because that's who we are. We're a place that embraces that everybody belongs here. So I'm sort of just speaking to the people who have come to Temple Israel because maybe there was a time that they didn't know where they belonged. They didn't know how to behave, and they didn't know what to believe. And I think that every institution in our community is incredible. But one thing that I feel defines Temple Israel in the here and now is indeed what Mordechai Kaplan was missing out on, which made him want to reconstruct Judaism, which is that idea of hope. And it's no small thing. It might be a short word, it might be a word you hear too often, and you might assume is just part of the Pollyanna world about, people can do whatever they want to do and believe in whatever they want to believe. But optimism in this world today is no small thing. And a lot of people would say we're in very short supply. How do you have hope? And, I try to answer this question from all three of my 20, 22, and 24-year-old children who say, really, hope, Ima? Hope in a world where suddenly there's a war in Ukraine? Hope in a world where, those ice floes are really melting and we feel adrift and we feel like the planet is burning up? Hope, Ima? Hope? And I say that my definition of God is really in looking into the eyes of another human being and seeing compassion. That gives me hope. There's no short supply of pessimism in this world. And I believe that when you belong to a Jewish institution, that is a sign of absolute, maybe not necessarily ironclad faith, but absolute hope that the world can do better. So for every person who has recently joined us or has decided that this is where they want to make their home, whether it was now or in the past year or years ago, this is a defining moment for people. And, we can't underestimate what it means that our Kihila has grown in about 30 or so families. What it means is we're feeling determined enough to have hope and to believe in the power of transformation. When for so many people, all bets are off. But I can't stand looking at this little front row of people right here and thinking, this world is not going to be good for you. It's got to be good for you. It's got to be good for you. And you are surrounded by people who want to make it good for you. That is just simply where we end up. So, when Mordechai Kaplan did not break the figurine and decide to come up with Reconstructionist Judaism, as I thought I had understood, I think that there is something extant in his world, a world that was really holding itself up under an enormous load of cataclysmic changes. And you could say that we're living in one of those times probably too. But what did carry him through, and what I pray will carry you through on your journey, however long you've been here on this new Member Shabbat, however long you've been here, I hope it will be a journey that is sustained by hope, optimism, by the ability to look into the eyes of the neighbor that's walking beside you and marching across the very scary seas that may be in front of us, so we can cross to the other side in joy and in dancing. And I want to give you this bracha, this blessing, as we set you out on your journey with the temple. Yehi ratzon milfanecha Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu shetolichenu l'shalom v'tatzidenu l'shalom v'tadrichenu l'shalom. May it be your will, Adonai, our God and God of our ancestors, that you guide all of us who are part of this house of Israel safely on our journeys, that you lead us on our path in peace, and that you allow us to reach our desired destination with life, joy, and peace. O God, protect us all from all obstacles along our way, and bestow blessing on the work of our hands, and grant grace, loving kindness, and compassion to us, and in the eyes of all who encounter us along the way. Blessed are you, Adonai, who watches over us on our journeys. And we say, Amen.
Amen.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Asher kochach.
Brachati. And we continue our service, friends, on page 46. Please rise for our tefillah.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agita yilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise.
Page 48.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim v'Konei Hakol וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה.
Page 50.
אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם מכלכל חיים בחסד מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים סומך נופלים ורופא חולים ומתיר אסורים ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומי דומה לך מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל.
Page 52.
אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
We're going to continue silently at our own pace, pages 54 through 63, and seated when you're done with your own personal reflections.
Shalom, shalom bimromav hu yaseh shalom, hu yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, aleinu,
Turning now to a prayer of healing. I don't believe we have the words necessarily in the Sudur that we're going to say, but they are in our Torah. It's the words of Elna Rafan Allah that Moses used to pray to God for healing for his sister Miriam. They're powerful words that we'll sing together. Then we'll have a chance to think of those in our community who are in need of healing.
Try that with us. El na refana lanu. Now repeat these words after me. Dear God of our ancestors,
Dear God of our ancestors,
help us renew our faith.
help us renew our faith.
Grant us a perfect healing.
Grant us the perfect healing.
Bring peace to all our days.
Bring peace to all our days.
Together, El Na.
El na refana
lanu. El na refana lanu.
We think of Lev Heschel ben Batami v'Yaakov, Necha Batzar Rivka, Aron Dovi ben Pia Leah, Harav Tuvia Levi ben Yosef Tzvia Cohen Ubatya, Yaakov Yitzchak ben David Rachav, Eliyahu ben Sarah, Harav Ruven Shlomo ben Menda v'Leah, Naomi bat Miriam v'Harav Yosef, Gittel bat Yehuda v'Chaya, Zisselchana bat Yita Rivka, Davia bat Rachel, Gabriela bat Nehemiah Devora, Chana Ruth bat Anna, Devora Rachel, Yochebed bat Fruma v'Raphael, Eliana Shai bat Binyamin v'Shirleah, Sandor ben Sarah, Miriam bat Simcha v'Shifra, Sarah Masha bat Ganesha v'Moshe, Ruvain Abraham ben Mordechai v'Ada, Jerry Bain, Corey Casperson, Becky Cottle, Pat Cottle, Martin Cohen, Pamela Cohen, Bree Craig, David Doxner, Larry Footer, Karen Gilman, Warren Grove, Annette Harris, Ethan Kadish, Ray Carlsberger, Robert Keynes Jr., Del McKillinger, Marilyn Lassen, Bill Lazaro, Cheryl Logan, Gerald McBriarty, Chris McGowan, Mike Nolan, Hassan Noah, Anthony Paneth, Clark Patton, David Schulman, Michael Thrush, Annette Turner, Mary Lou Wagner. And now I'd like to invite you to please share any names that you're thinking of, people who are in need of healing of any kind. Please just say their name now. We think of them, we pray for them, full healing, refuah shlema.
El na refana lanu. El na refana lanu.
On page 258, we make a prayer for our country, followed by a prayer for Israel. And I pray also in this moment for true courage to be exercised by our own government so that we can support those who are so much in need across the world in all the myriad manifestations, but particularly when it comes to Ukraine. We just pray for courage for everyone involved. And we say right under the words for our country on page 258, we read together, Thus says Adonai, this is what I desire, to unlock the fetters of wickedness and untie the cords of lawlessness, to let the oppressed go free, to break off every yoke. Share your bread with the hungry and take the wretched poor into your home. When you see the naked, give clothing, and do not ignore your own kin. If you banish the yoke from your midst, the menacing hand, the evil speech, if you offer compassion to the hungry and satisfy the famished creature, then your light shall shine in darkness. And across the page, a prayer for Israel.
O Heavenly One, protector and redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love. Spread over it the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Establish peace in the land and fullness of joy for all who dwell there.
Amen.
Avinu, Avinu, Sheba Shamayim, Tzur Yisrael veGoalo. Avinu, Avinu, Sheba Shamayim, Tzur Yisrael veGoalo.
Page 282, we turn toward the end of our service for Aleinu. Please rise.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד ארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגבהי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Page 287.
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. This Shabbat, we are remembering people who have left this earth, this world, as we knew them, and now they exist as memory. We remember them tonight, and our love never ceases. We are in the first month of mourning and remembrance for both Paul Sharfin and for Neil McBride. And I'd like to ask the families, if they are here, to please rise as I've said the names of your loved ones. Of course, if you are visiting us during this period of Shiva, the first 7 days, if you would rise and state the name of the person for whom you're saying Kaddish. We also are considering those who have died within the past year. So if you are someone who has lost someone in the past year, would you please stand and recite the name of the person for whom you are saying Kaddish tonight? And as you hear your loved one's name tonight, if they are on our yard site list, I'd like to ask you to stand when you hear their name. We are remembering Itka Agranoff, Adele Alter, Abraham Bernfeld, Barbara Block, Belle Jaffe Dressler, Stanley Dritz, Joseph J. Eisenberg, Morris Foyer, Frida Fink, Abraham Julius Gershowitz, Samuel Gitman, Lester Glickman, Donald H. Goldberger, Blanche Kershaw Hoffman, Rose Hurwitz, Thomas Jacobs, Sally Knowles, Harry Lake, Richard I. Landers, Leonard Luck, Bill Lucy. We are remembering Mary Mars, Ann Meister, Sam Needleman, Barbara Newmark, Vasily Platitsyn,
Amen.
Israel, Bagala uvizman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevorach leolam olmei olmaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal shmei dekudsha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da amiran bi'olma v'imru Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru
Amen.
Amen. May the source of peace bring peace to everyone who mourns here, who mourns in Israel, who mourns in Ukraine, who mourns in Russia, who mourns anywhere in the world, oh God. Lift us up with their memories. Inspire us to do mitzvot in their honor and their memory, and we say, Amen.
Amen.
Please be seated, everybody. And the fact is that all those people whose names we mentioned, especially those who have died more recently, all I can think of is Paul Sharfin's big old smile. All I can think of is Stan Dritz's certain joie de vivre. You know, so many people, you know, the Weisbergs are remembering. And all of us, when we come to this moment, you know, there's a certain sweet joy of Shabbat that's tempered a little bit by those memories of people that we lost, but ultimately we're so lucky that we got to love them. So, friends, Rabbi Klein.
Got a big weekend.
We got a big weekend coming up.
Oh, yes.
And I'm glad you've got your balloons with you. That'll help.
They're very comforting.
You'll be the life of the
Just from
party.
consecration, yeah.
We do
Oh,
have
wait,
some-
before the big weekend for Rabbi Klein, we actually have a big Shabbat tomorrow.
Do tell.
Yes, well, as we can see, we're having a Dot Shabbat tomorrow. So please, yes, Nathan, bring all your friends and their kids tomorrow morning. And I believe at the same time, we'll also be having Jewish meditation.
online, for sure. Musar the next day at 10 o'clock, and we will have Passover hours. I got to see that. So next, I don't know, anybody doing anything special next week at this time?
Well, Rabbi Mars,
What?
I'll tell you,
Yes.
with the Passover experience.
Right.
I just
yeah.
want to say this Sunday, I mentioned it before, but just expand on it. This is a legacy that I've inherited at Temple Israel, and I'm going to be experiencing it for the first time with everyone at school, and it's going to be a very wow experience. You're going to live the Exodus. We're also going to hear from our local emissary. Her name is Michal Vera Samuel, who has her own Exodus journey from Ethiopia to Israel, and she's here in Columbus. Hoping to cap it off with Israeli dancing, and in between, you are experiencing the Exodus. So what I want to say is, obviously it's for our religious school students, but we actually have a number of guests coming, a number of guest students, families that are checking out the school. So I want to invite everybody who has a Jewish kid in their family / friends or children that are potentially about to become Jewish to come join us and experience it with us. It's going to be definitely memorable.
It'll be awesome.
How's our experience this Sunday? Yes.
It'll be awesome.
Yeah.
It'll be awesome. We do want to say that a week from tonight, you'll be at your Seder tables. If you know of anybody who needs a place at a Seder, please let us know. We're going to try to connect people. Don't be shy. And if you have an extra seat at your table, also let us know. I don't know if we have this.
Kathy.
Yom HaShoah is happening.
Wait.
Back it up for one. Oh, sorry.
Is Kathy gonna?
I'm just gonna mention Yom HaShoah because we'll end on a happy note.
We'll end on it.
But this is our Yom HaShoah experience is going to be here this year. And we are very grateful that the Columbus Board of Rabbis is going to be sponsoring this. And as you see, the name of the program is My Father, a Nazi. So there's an opportunity for you to watch this particular YouTube video of a man who now lives in America, but he himself grew up in Germany and discovered that his father was indeed a Nazi. I'm going to be then doing a talkback session with a pastor in our community, Reverend Sigrid Rother from UCC in Westerville. And she had a similar story, and she's going to tell us about how she discovered that her own father was a Nazi, and that helped lead her into a work life of faith. So it'll be a really wonderful evening, and we're also going to be bringing our Holocaust Torah to join the other Sifrei Torah in our Ark that night. It'll be a very special occasion. Now, Kathy Weisberg, who has bitten off so much. There she is. Isn't she adorable? Would you like to come up here and please tell the folks about Tikkun Palooza?
Well, just people on YouTube. People on YouTube can hear you. Yeah.
It's coming.
Oh. 2 weeks from Sunday, April 24th, is our 5th annual Tikkun Palooza. Adam Solomon and I have been working hard organizing. So it's a day of community service. We have 57% of our spots filled, which means there's 111 openings that we're waiting to fill. So please, if you haven't registered, either see me afterwards or go on our website. Lots to do. Lots of things to do here, lots to do outdoors, lots to choose from.
Thank you,
Thanks
Kathy.
so much, Kathy.
It's so exciting to see, 2 weeks. It's so exciting to see the spots filling up and to also see just the variety of things in the community that need to be done. We're also hoping that it plants a seed, not just a one-day event, but maybe something that is perpetuated, that we keep on coming back to and really helping solve some of the intrinsic problems to our fair city. I think that's the end of announcements, and now it's time to break out the challah and the wine and make kiddush. So, following the cantor.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon inchilanu zikaron ma'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila lemikra'e kodesh zecher letziat mitzrayim kivanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim ve'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon inchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat.
Amen. Chaim.
And a special todah rabbah to my dear friend and colleague, Cantor Jenna Greenberg, who always elevates our beautiful tefillah with her music and our friendship. So thank you.
Okay. Oh, I also want to extend thanks to wonderful ushers that were welcoming everyone tonight.
And of
We're
course,
here, a whole new membership committee that made this tonight possible. Mamash, thank you.
beautiful.
Busy team. Okay, we got a couple. Let's see. Grand reveal.
Grand reveal. Thank you so much. and the teeny tiny challahs. Can you see them from where you are?
Katanchik.
I always feel like a giant when I get to say motzi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Amen. And we close with the singing of Shalom Aleichem as we sing to you, angels, and the angels that follow us home.
Oh, you know what? Let me give a little over here.
Shalom
Share with me.
Aleichem, Malachei Hashavei, Malachei Elyon, page 323. Mi melech malchei hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bachem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech malchei hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech malchei hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Will you guys do me a favor? Stand up and put your arms around each other. There you go.
Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech malchei hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shabbat Shalom.